So a thing about Trump fans that I noticed, when they call you crazy and their expectations are just you're just not meeting their expectations of a sane interpretation of events, and because you don't like Trump, you should like Trump. Like it's an objective thing. That's just not how democracy works. I've disliked Trump since the '80s. When I would discuss things during Obama's presidency with conservatives that hated Obama, I did not act like they were crazy not to like Obama. I mean, you're not going to like, even if somebody does policies in your best interest, you don't actually have to like them. Now, it does get to be bothersome when somebody does things for a particular group, say against their own alleged constituency, like Obama did. Obama kept the torture going. Did he get thanks from the Republicans? No. He kept drone bombing going. Thanks, no. Kept Gitmo open. Thanks, no. Meanwhile, these things are bothering me. He continued and increased the number of immigrant inspections up to, I think, like 150 miles inland from the border. And these things bothered me. And when I said they would bother me, conservatives are like, he's not doing that. He's he's a Democrat socialist, wants open borders, and you're telling me he's doing well. No, he's not. But then to defend Trump, they bring that up. Well, Obama was doing the same thing, so I guess they did know he was doing that, and that was against me. That's if I was his constituency, he was working against me, and so even someone like Obama, people on the right try to assign him as a hero. He's not a hero of mine. But I give credit where credit was due. I thought it was good, the Iran deal. Smartest deal ever. Um, I thought it was good he was opening up relations with Cuba. What the fuck's that all about? I mean, if you really want to do it, that's a 100-year-old thing, which is like, I'll get to this in a second, like with Puerto Rico and Philippines, Guam, American Samoa. The thing is, it's irrational. You're the crazy one if you expect people that voted for the other person to somehow love your president. If you want us to tolerate him, then, show me some things he's doing that I want, uh, like I just said Obama did for the right wing, like keep Gitmo open, keep spying on people, all the things they love, keep torture. Supposedly ended torture. Yeah, right. Um, if I did like Trump, if I liked Trump or had a neutral opinion with Trump, the pussy grabbing would have put me off him. But of course, if I liked him, I would have had to think, well, it's a Howard Stern candidate. We did a little pussy grabbing jokes, and he didn't not like I caught him actually doing it. But lying about having a deal with Russia, he should have just said, yeah, I got a deal going on with Russia, whatever. I'm going to have good relationships with Russia. Look into it all you want. Instead, he did the opposite and tried to obstruct justice um, when he didn't do anything wrong. Except for why would somebody obstruct justice? Let's say you want to go and search somebody's house. You're the cops. You want to search somebody's house because they're suspected of having drugs. They don't have drugs, but they have people chained up in their basement and they obstruct justice. But that isn't what you were looking for. The report says a lot of shitty stuff on record now, especially all the lying and calling shit fake news that we now know was true, just as true as it seems. People say, "Oh, well, we knew that was true all along." Yeah, we knew he was a liar. He said it was fake news. We know things like specific lies. Uh, Sarah Sanders has said specific ones. Yeah, we knew already she was lying, but see, this is in the record. I think that's perfectly good, and of course, I'm not going to like him for that. I mean, you got to be nuts. You're calling me crazy to not like him because of this report? Well, yeah, it said there was no criminal conspiracy. Yeah, well, that's not collusion, and I don't actually believe people should be able to lie to the public. Now, you can't police political promises when you say, "Hey, I'm going to do something in the future." A person's only predicting the future. They can't predict the future. So all sorts of things could happen so that they couldn't predict the future that they're going to accomplish or do something once they had more facts or it got there or they dealt with the actual situation when they get there. But if somebody's talking about something right now, like, no, I've never met the Russian, I don't know any Russian. Well, he must have known a couple Russians because he had a deal that he said wasn't going on. So a lie like that, I think, that would be a deal breaker for me. And obviously, it's not for you. But the right loves criminals. I mean, they're fucking guy that sold arms to Iran right after they had our hostages for a year is the head of the NRA. That's what the fucking Republicans think a crime against the country. They love it. They'll reward you for it. Um, and this is a funny thing about American empire because on the one hand, America was lied to about its empire, and the whole world had fallen for it at a certain point with the Spanish-American War, where we took some of those colonies in Cuba and Puerto Rico and the Philippines, and I forget if Guam was right then. American Samoa, some of those might have been later in the end of World War II, like Guam, I forget. But I know the Philippines and Puerto Rico and Cuba. Now, we had to give up Cuba because Congress had passed the law because there'd been a lot of propaganda to foment the Spanish-American War about how we were abusing the women and children, the Cubans, the Spanish were rather, not us. We did it later. Um, how it was just a terrible, terrible thing. And so the sympathy for Cuba was such that there was action to make sure we wouldn't make it into a colony at that time. And it turned out fine because, we just economically occupied it. It turned out to be an easier way to control places until they revolted against us, against our puppet regime there, basically, where we sort of contracted off running Cuba to the mob. Why would they mind? That couldn't be bad for them. Good businessman. And the thing about American empire, though, is we were always told we were spreading democracy and whatnot like that. Where, the British, they told they were spreading civilization. Different thing. You go to India, of course you have to subjugate them. And then you build railroads and you make it all nice. They would never figure that out. But they knew they were doing it. They were conscious about the whole situation, whereas we're always going to liberate people, whereas in the Philippines, oh, we stabbed those guys in the back so hard. They had been revolting against the Spanish. We came, blockaded it, kind of controlled the ocean, right? Sending guns in to Aguinaldo, who's taking back the islands and the main island and stuff. And then in the end, we let the remaining Spanish, run off, paid them $20 million, I think it was, for the Philippines, and then just started this reign of terror where we killed hundreds of thousands of people. They were waterboarding, and I think most of the waterboarders died, I believe, but maybe not. Terrible kill ratio of wounded to dead in the war showing, and there's documents of they were just wholesale killing whole villages and just a cleansing thing. After they had thought us being America wouldn't be so bad, yeah, we get rid of the Spanish and we're part of America and we're on track to become a state. They didn't know about the racism. Puerto Rico, same time. Thought this could their rebels were like, great, America, of course they're the champion of freedom. This 100-year-old country, it believes in freedom in general, 130-year-old or whatever, and not to be. And Puerto Rico still isn't a state. Why is that? And some Puerto Ricans have talked to me before. Like I knew this Puerto Rican lawyer guy, and he was like, well, we don't actually necessarily want a tax situation stuff. It's fine. Well, whatever. Even if it was better, they should be a state. You shouldn't get a better situation either. And you definitely should not be able to vote for the president when you're part of the country for over 100 years. What the fuck? It's fucking crazy. And it's about this American empire thing where these right winger types, especially, they don't even think of Puerto Rico as part of America. Many of them have spoken of it as another country, on accident and stuff, because that's their basic framing. What they're primed for is, yeah, it's a territory for hundreds of years. A territory. Is that part of the American idea? No, because we were sold this idea of democracy and not told that, after the Indian Wars, we went into the Pacific, we fucked that all up. We had World War II, and then we put bases all over the world. And, it would help to, we don't have to have guilt about all of this past. Other countries have it too. So it's a little different that we're the ones keeping it going into the 21st century. But as it happens, all those countries are involved too. And a couple new ones. Saudi Arabia are in there with us, along with France and the UK and the banks, the international banks, doing this fucking mindfuck war profiteering kind of game. So, but none of that means it's okay just because everybody was involved, and to a certain degree, other people still are involved. It's on our shoulders in that we're paying the bulk. If we did not keep the game going, everybody else couldn't afford to keep it going, and we'd have to have just a more, a multi-plenty type situation of international diplomacy. Investment in each other's countries is what keeps us from having war, right? That's basically should be the modern solution to peace. So we don't have to get guilt. We need to move on from the guilt and just stop doing the fucking crap. Stop bombing people and making terrorists, right? Now, Trump is not in that vein. He's in the vein of, no, we got to toughen up. We should go back. And yeah, we should do it. And you can beat those people up. I wish we could shoot people at the border. And why would I like him? There's nothing crazy for a person of my taste to not like that. And the fact that, well, that's the better thing. Yeah, that's where you and I differ. Can't you just figure that out? That's what would have to be figured out to have a political conversation. But I'm not clear on whether you guys realize on the right that you made the situation such that there is no conversation. And you think the left did it? Well, you're wrong. The Democrats were already half right. They're already the centrist, the old style American centrist politician that likes war and likes the banks to get bailed out. People need to, work a little harder, and rich people need to have it a little easier. They are that way, and that's half conservative with the have and Gitmo and this kind of stuff. And by doing this situation of you're not going to work together, you just want your fucking fascism. That's what it looks like to me when you put fucking 15,000 babies in a goddamn prison because their parents had to flee fucking Nazi Germany. Right? That looks fucking crazy to me. Right? I'm not going to suddenly be on board with those kinds of things. I understand that you're on board with it. I'm not saying that you're crazy not to love Bernie Sanders. I know why you don't love Bernie Sanders, because you're against good things. Fine. Do I think you're crazy to be against good things? Nah, I don't know. There's a lot of reasons. You could be stupid. There's a lot of emotional problems, probably, is my guess. Is that crazy? No. I mean, ordinary emotional problems. Mythologies, things about the America that never were true, about other countries, about that men are logical, and about women aren't, and about all of these weird little myths that you have. That's probably behind it. That would be my explanation if you're asking me for an explanation. But we could just move on from the issue by stop doing these things. Are you going to admit that we're doing them? These people that are fighting to retain this, the part of the American empire where we kick people's ass and kill innocent people, and the other part where we say it's for democracy. You want to keep that. I, I that's not going to get kept. I know that's not going to get kept. Whether I die and it's still going strong, I know it's not going to be kept forever, right? Because just fantasy ideas like that can't last forever. Just like Christianity, it lasts a couple thousand years. Well, that's no problem, but it's not going to last forever for everybody. It's not going to be the only thing. Now, it may last on and on and on and on, but I mean, it's not going to dominate. It's not going to be the only way people fucking think, or the primary way that what makes them make all their decisions, right? And I'm sure that this crazy, you can have an empire for your own glory and oppression of others, and you can pretend it's for other people's good, and that could go on forever. I just don't see that going on forever. Right, so you have a candidate that wants to push in that direction. I have ones that want to push in the other direction. I guess that's just all there is to it. We're just going to have to see who can push harder, right?